Hello everyone, my name is Riddhi Miglani and let's continue our discussion on Economic Survey 2021. So this time we're talking about innovation. Now you may ask, why is innovation a part of this survey? Well, that's because innovation in the long term leads to growth. Let's see how is India performing on innovation. India ranks 48th among 131 countries in terms of its innovation performance as measured using the Global Innovation Index 2020. India entered the top 50 innovating countries for the first time since the inception of the index in 2007. And this is a list of global leaders in innovation in 2020. So India was a part of that list when it comes to Central and Southern Asia. And we see that India has done above expectations for level of development. And now we see that India is a negative outlier in terms of its GDP. That is, India seems to be underperforming in innovation with respect to the size of its GDP. This divergent performance for India in terms of the size of its economy and its level of development is a significant finding and once again being complacent. So although we have come a long way, but the room for development is again there. And if we compare ourselves in terms of GDP or in terms of population, we see that we have to go a long way because majority of the nations are somewhere here and we have to go on that side of the road. Same is the case when we talk about population. We have a long way to go. And here we see that we are actually making a comparison of India on various pillars, and we will consistently see that India has a long way to go. So when it comes to knowledge and technology pillar, we are somewhere here and we have to go up there. In case of creative outputs pillar 2, we are here and we have to go there because this is what the inspiration is for us, that wherever we are we have to move up. In case of institutions pillar, we are here and again the journey is pretty long. In case of human capital and research, this is where we are. In case of infrastructure pillars, so this is all in comparison to the top 10 economies. In case of market sophistication pillar, in case of business sophistication pillar, India's innovation performance vis-a-vis top 10 economies. So we see that with the help of these graphical representations, we see that there is a huge room for us to grow. So this is where we are and this is where we have to go. So this is on top 10 economies on innovation output sub index, and this is on input sub index. So this is again the same pillars that are repeating. So this is knowledge and technology output pillar, creative outputs pillar, this is our institutions pillar, human capital and research pillar, infrastructure pillar, market sophistication pillar, and business sophistication pillar. So we clearly see that we have to go this on this path and keep doing. Of course, we have just started to improve on all these aspects, and in times to come we will definitely reach those levels too, no doubt about it. Now, trend in India's innovation performance. So here we are comparing ourselves with just China alone, and we see that when we compare ourselves with China, again, we have not ranked as well as China has on most of the fronts. So that means what? We can and we must improve. I think it's only in case of institutions performance that both India and China have ranked mostly the same. Otherwise, China has ranked better than us in on almost all the fronts. Now we talk about R&D expenditure in India. So this graphical representation clearly tells us that our R&D expenditure has not been that good. So that means that since for the past so many years we actually did not focus on R&D. And if this economic survey talks about it, means that in the future we will have a good allocation towards R&D, and maybe that this is just the beginning. Now, India's performance on patents and trademarks. So around 6% of US resident inventors listed at the European Patent Office in 2009 had an Indian name and surname. This was roughly the same as the Chinese. This is more than the French, Germans and Italians combined. Large-scale out-migration of skilled workforce and students from India is not necessarily bad news for India's innovation aspirations. This could potentially result in return of high-skilled workforce in future. However, this would require an enabling environment that facilitates re-entry into the Indian job market and high-tech research opportunities. So all that it is trying to say is that for some people who have gone out and have clearly done so much in R&D, if they come back, we need to have such an ecosystem in place that would that would continue to facilitate their growth. Otherwise we may not see them come back. So maybe maybe R&D, patents and trademark, all of that will be given a lot of importance. And here is a graph which tells us that if this is the number of patent applications that are filed in India, this is by the non-residents, which is way higher than the residents. And this is a comparison between the top 10 economies, and we see that blue is the number of applications that are filed by the residents and red is the number of applications that are filed by the non-residents. So here we see clearly a trend that majority of these nations have patent applications filed by their residents, and in India we at least need to reverse these numbers. In case of trademark applications, we see that majority of these applications have been filed by residents and very little have been filed by non-residents. And in fact, when we see this trend in the top 10 economies, we are no outlier. We are doing just as they are doing, so it's good. Probably we need to replicate same kind of performance in case of patents. Is Indian innovation affected by access to finance? Let's see. So here we have again some graphical representations which tells us that access to equity finance, these countries have a very good rank and at the same time very good equity finance, whereas India does not has that good access. And in case of venture capital too, we do not have that great access. That means somewhere down the line innovation is impacted by the access to equity finance. And in case of debt also the same is there, same case is there. Now, R&D activities in India. India is a highly attractive R&D destination on account of the opportunities offered for outsourcing highly skilled labor workforce, low cost labor and R&D activities. This means that we too should make the most of it and set up India as an R&D hub. I think Atmanirbharta is probably the essence of R&D. Now we talk about the policy implications. So we see that our expenditure on R&D is at 0.7% of GDP currently. So this has to be improved drastically, because although we have come a long way, but there is so much more to do and there's so much more that remains to be done. So this is what it tells us, that for India to become an innovation leader, its residents' share in total patent application list filed in the country must rise from the current level of 36%. And India should focus on improving its performance on institutions and business sophistication, since higher performance on these dimensions seem to consistently suggest higher innovation output performance. So these are some of the areas where we can really think of improving or building our strength, like ease of resolving insolvency, where we are actually working through IBC. Government effectiveness, again this was something that was referred to. ease of starting a business, political and operational stability, regulatory quality, rule of law, cause of redundancy dismissal. So this is it for this video. Thank you so much.